Oh, dude, we got it all. I love it. I love
No.
it.
Hey everyone, welcome to my first consulting call video. This is a series of calls that I'm looking to do to help people in domains that I'm extremely passionate about. Topics can include anything from help with Rome, React, AWS, or just general productivity tips. If you'd like to schedule a call with me, please click a link in the description below. In this call, my friend Greg Frontiero is looking for help on how to get started using Rome. I hope you find the conversation useful and enjoy.
Before I could say anything, I'd like to sort of get a feel for how you use Roam and get a feel for like what you've been using it for, like when did you start using it, and like maybe even like walk me through parts of your database that you feel comfortable with, and like just show me like what your day-to-day usage is like.
Yeah, this will actually be pretty easy because I initially signed up for Rome through Rite of Passage when it first got brought up. I'd never heard of it before. And so when I jumped in there, I started using it and felt like the learning curve was like so steep that I was like, I will never figure this out. So I quickly
Got it.
canceled it. Yesterday, I was like, okay, I should probably have a Rome if I'm going to talk to David about how to use Rome well. So I kind of opened it. I have about 2 days worth of notes in here.
Cool.
I have two, I guess the graphs are supposed to be like, I'm confused on like, should I just have one Rome for all my different thoughts? Because I would think that if I have a thought about new wave, maybe it connects to my personal life, or if I have a thought about pro wrestling and it links to, like, like, doesn't matter. Do I have one, or do I have like my new wave book and like my Greg Frontiero book?
Okay.
And
So I guess I should assume like we're starting from like start
yeah,
from
we are,
scratch.
like, I want to have like really, really solid foundations on like how would you use this and how should I use this, and then I will just
Cool.
do those things. I can show you what I've done the last 2 days, but I don't know if that makes sense.
Let's do like a quick let's just do that real quickly before. I'll just warn that a lot of my advice will be very opinionated, but it's like opinions based off of like what I learned from Nat Eliason, what I've learned from like some other people's usages, and then what I've learned from like just like my own personal preferences. And so you can take from that what you will, but I'll go through like my own personal workflows.
Dude, I love opinions. Give me your opinions are probably facts for me. And so, like, you can see, like, yesterday, my kind of thoughts were like, how do I talk about this? I'm working with Robbie to sort of do like like an elevator type pitch. So I sort of writing that kind of all out, and then just assuming that like there are themes like the ingredients and like what it does to your brain and some sort of like marketing collateral and stuff that I'll have that I'm just assuming I should tag because things will relate back to them later. And I don't know if I'm correct in that assumption. And then today it was just about packaging and printing and things like that. So referral mechanics and contests and stuff like that. I just sort of am like guessing where and when to tag, but since I don't have too much.
Cool. Yeah, no, this is a good start. This is actually a better start than what I would say I did. Because I think one of the first pitfalls that people fall into, and something that I fell into, was being too hierarchical in their Roam usage. And it's sort of like not the intent. The intent of Roam is sort of like tag everything that you think could possibly be useful and just let the network grow on its own and
Did I
manifest
steal
itself.
this from you too? I should probably have a page for people.
Yeah, well, I stole it from Nat, who really knows the origins of these things. I'll get into that later, but yeah, I'm a big fan of nouns or notes for every noun.
Okay, that makes sense.
Throw me back the host, and then we can get started on my side. All right, I'm going to assume that you can see my Roam notebook. You are starting off on the daily pages, and that's great. I would say is like your central hub. You almost like start here every day, and you'll branch off into various different places based on what's going on the daily note page. So let me do this just to hide everything under a bullet, and let's pretend we have a blank page. Cool. So when I first started using it, post the school of Nat, one of the first things I realized was that, again, I was trying too hard being hierarchical about everything. Mm-hmm. And instead, I should just throw things that happen to me throughout my day on this daily note page. And a good way I think about it is with nouns. One of the first things I had, one thing I had here was, today, Rome meeting with Greg Frontiero, 1 p.m. The big reason why I love making a page for every person is that when you go to Greg Frontiero's page, you'll see like all the references. I'll see all the references I have of that person and see all the different contexts in which I met them.
Yeah, it's like you're using it as a CRM almost, which is amazing.
Yeah. Another example, like, so I can like see if I like when I saw Robbie for the second time, like, Robbie, I feel like I saw that name before, and I could see like when was the first time I saw him. It was like here during the first breakout room in the third live session. So there's like a rite of passage. So again, because I create a page for every noun, there's like a page for rite of passage. I wrote down the schedule. It's even linked to the date, so like I know when this happened. If you hit Control O, you can open up bullets as pages. So if you're on like a bullet, if you're on a bullet and you say Control O, it like goes to that bullet as its own page, which is particularly useful because my rite of passage page is massive. I have notes for like every live session and like for every writing group that happened. I was in Andrew Barry's group, and there was like something that happened each one of those. And so in order to like trim down like what I'm focusing on, you can like click on a bullet and then hit Control O, and now you're just focusing like on that sub bullet, keeping it focused there. And so cool, like on this breakout room, I met Laurent, I met Robbie Crabtree, I met Gary Ewan, and these were like some ideas that came out of like me talking to them. Yeah, so let's go to the actual version of this note. When I was thinking about like our meeting today and like thinking about like what I would want to go to. Again, I opened the bullet as like its own page so I can like help focus on just this and start writing stuff down. I added like a consulting tag because now I'm thinking about like consulting. It's just like a thing that I want to do more often. And then when I open the consulting page, I'll be able to see like all the different meetings that were of type consulting.
I see. And so when you think of using like a hashtag rather than making it a page, what's the thought there?
They're the same thing. They're the same feature. Okay. The only difference is styling. So if I want,
maybe it helps your brain separate like this is a tag.
Yeah. It's like makes it feel like more of a tag, but tags and these brackets are actually the same exact feature. They just apply different styling, and like the page makes it jump out more.
Got it.
Cool. Yeah. And so I wrote down a bunch of notes for like what I want to go through before the meeting, but then I'm also writing down notes during the meeting. And so I wrote down like open source dude. And then this is like my do it later technique where like I put follow up tomorrow so that when I wake up tomorrow and I go to my daily notes page, I see all of these references for all the things that I've like marked to do for this day and can move them up, and I can move them up into, up here as my to-do list for the day. So a lot of my morning routines is I open my daily notes page. Okay, so Terraform, blah, blah. So this is a blog post I'm working on. And I see that I want to finish the draft and share it on this day. So often I'll copy this block ref, paste it in here, and then get rid of the date here. What a block references is that it's a pointer to the exact spot where this note originates so that you're not copy and pasting it in different locations. And this is particularly useful because then it for every note, it has a single source of truth location. And if I ever wanted to see where it came from, I can jump to the block and I see that it's in the notes section of this blog page.
Oh, I see.
And
you're almost making a little mini hierarchy there.
Yeah. So there are like mini hierarchies, but in general, so it's like, okay, aim to publish here. And if I don't get it done, schedule it for the following day. And
you're using the date inside the brackets. Is there anything special you're doing, or it just recognizes that it's a date?
Yeah. So there's a couple of really cool shorthands to do this. So if you want to mark today, you can just do /today, and then hit enter. And it will come out like that. If you want to do tomorrow, you do /tomorrow. If you want to do yesterday, you do /yesterday. In my stream of consciousness. So stream of consciousness is something that I keep like on the bottom of my daily notes page for like random moments that I didn't anticipate during the day, random thoughts that I thought of, random interactions. So earlier today, I had a tweet about self-driving cars, and my friend Ian Reynolds introduced me to Comma, and I'm like, cool, this is really interesting. I don't have time today to look into it. So let me mark checkout August 27th. Oh, there's one more super important date picker, date functionality, which is date picker. So /date picker. And if I click on that, this little GUI comes up, and you can
pick any day in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes like quite hilariously, if I'm like, okay, I really want to read this article, but I'm so busy this week. Let me just fucking
Yeah, I remember
September
talking about
23rd.
this on Twitter and
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
like, well, how do you like know you'll be not busy then? You're like, well, at a certain point, it just doesn't matter, right?
yeah. Like if September 23rd hits and like I still don't want to do this task, then this task is not important. And
Okay, that makes sense.
it's like lost relevance. By the time I wake up tomorrow morning and I open my laptop and I hit this August 26th page, I already have 11 references of to-dos that previous Vargases has told this one to do today. And my common workflow is, again, I copy block ref, paste it in here. That was the wrong spot. Paste it in there, and then get rid of the date reference so that it's not duplicated. And I'm also thinking about like writing an extension to like sort of do this automatically, but now that it's here. And then you can do, for each item, if you hit Control Enter, it creates a little like checkbox that you can.
Oh, neat. Yeah,
can, like,
it makes you like a little mini to-do list.
Yeah, and so yeah, Control Enter flips it to the done. So you can like sort of toggle. So holding on Control and you, if you keep hitting Enter, it'll flip it on and off. Cool. And so like now I know tomorrow, if you haven't followed up by then, I've like told myself now to follow up with you on this like open source too, because like he sounds really interesting and I want to follow up on this idea and see if we can, if I can connect this guy.
Yeah, we have to.
Cool. So let me go back to my notes for this meeting. Yeah. So everything maps from my daily note. I usually have a list of to-dos in the middle that I've brought in from like separate days. I have a stream of consciousness on the bottom that I fill in with random things that come up on my day. To mark the time, there's a / current time. This just like, you know, gives me any additional context for like why, like when and why this like note that I mentioned in the past brought up in the future. Yeah. And then like, yeah. And every time you like create something, every time I add something to my stream of conscious, it should link out to something else. Like there should be like a reason why I'm adding it there.
Right.
And so some of the common reasons I mentioned in my article, but I'll sort of go over them again with a page that's more fleshed out. So yeah, so if I have like random thoughts, I'll like mark it as a random thought. And then later when I'm like, okay, I feel like I want to tweet and there's like no tweet in my mind, I can go to my random thought page and just look at my list of like previous random thoughts and just like pick one and tweet it out. And this is how I like keep myself like publishing to Twitter consistently.
That's awesome. There's a problem that I have.
Yeah,
I mean, that
the thing is like very rarely are we like creative enough to think of something in the spot, but we're super creative throughout the day. Mm-hmm. So it's like I want to be able to like immediately when I think of stuff, just like write it down because I know later on I'm not going to be creative enough to think of it.
Yeah, I'm really hoping to use this as like a quick capture. The one thing I've seen a lot about Roam that I guess doesn't exist, right? Obviously, it doesn't have an app, but are you able to make a web app out of this, or have you seen that?
So my Google Chrome on my phone was not even bookmarked. It's only open to Roam. I don't like use Chrome on my phone for almost anything else.
I see what you're saying.
I'm like on my laptop all day, so I like jump around on like Chrome web pages for my laptop, and then everything that I ever use my phone for, I already have an app for. So like the Google Chrome app is like ostensibly my Roam app.
That makes sense.
And I like toggled off that quick capture because I don't like how they have it currently implemented.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I said, everything that gets added to my stream of consciousness, it needs to like link out to somewhere. This one was something I marked for today. So this was like a bug that Craig actually noticed on one of my sites, and so like now I marked it today so that I can fix it today. This is like a project idea that I thought of at 2:40 yesterday apparently. And so when I click on it, I mark it with like the type of projects I want. I mark it like as a project that I'm interested in it, and the type of project that it is. And so I also added like the Slack thread that I saw that like helped spawn this idea, so that I can always like go to it and like use that as inspiration for like actually working on this. Because I don't know when I'm ever going to work on this, right? Like it could be next week, it could be like 5 months from now. And so keeping as much context there so that when I come back to it and can re-familiarize myself with what the hell this is and what the hell this means is going to be useful for.
And so like in 6 months from now, you're like, what kind of personal project? I want to work on something like personal again. Like, should I click on like my personal projects hashtags, and you're kind of reminded of this, and you can sort of like just start from there, right?
Yeah. Not only, so this is going to get into queries. So I mentioned this in the article. I have 4 statuses: interested, in progress, complete, and archived. Interested just means I brainstormed it and thought that I want to work on it one day. In progress means it's like I'm literally doing it right now. Completed is done. Archived means I just said, fuck it, I don't want to do it anymore.
Perfect. Yeah.
And so I have this query that says, give me everything, give me all the pages that are marked interested in personal project. And so if I ever find myself that I'm bored, I have a bunch of all these ideas here that I can pick off and to start working on at any given moment, and to start like diving in.
It's crazy you said those 4 statuses, because those are the exact 4 that I would pick for myself, right? It's like I have these ideas, but I'm not sure I want to pursue them. I have the stuff that I'm currently working on. I have stuff that I'm done that I don't want to see anymore, but I still want it to be around. And then I have stuff that's like I don't want to see anymore, but I still want it around too. So
yeah. And I think it's like just sort of, I mean, I probably didn't think of it, but I probably like got it from somewhere else. I can't name it exactly, but it feels like very natural that those are like the 4 states like any given task or project would be in. Yeah. And so it's like if I'm ever at like a stopping point and I need like some new projects to work on, like these are just all the things that Vargas's from the last 3 months have been thinking of as he was employed at a separate job and was thinking about like different things to work on. Now they're all populated. I can pick from any of them.
And can you tell the ones that are sort of like you're hitting more than others? So like that's probably the one you should be doing, or that's just something that you know once you see it?
Yeah, I don't have so you're sort of getting that like this notion of like this, is there a way for me like to sort it in terms of like priority? I don't have it sorted, and I don't have a good intuition of like what to pick on next, except for like these like the type. So like Rome JavaScript extensions is like sort of my my focus right now. It's like my biggest area of focus. I want to build a bunch of tools on top of Rome and share that with the Rome community to sort of become more involved with the Rome cult. And so within this page, it looks like I have 24 ideas of things I want to make. And so I have like a backlog of stuff that I can start implementing and just like so go boom, 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 A, B, C, D. And then sometimes I'll just like use what's going on in the moment of like, you know, if I see somebody in the Slack like really struggling with something, maybe that will just like jump the list and become like most important.
I could totally see like the long wave being like how you sell Rome to corporations, because we sell like, you know, I can't say what we sell on a recorded line, but yeah, like Stack Overflow obviously sells its own private version.
Yeah, so my friend and I are like really trying to think of different, like what is the target user group for Longwave yet? And so we're, like thinking of a lot of ideas for that. I think there are some ways I can like incorporate it with the Rome community. And like, I think it would be something that a lot of people within the Rome community would find useful.
I know for me, like it's like a desperate thought, so don't put too much thought into the statement. But I mean, like for me, it was like, it would be great to have somebody take meeting notes and immediately link them to everything. So it kind of like all has context, so that, you know, what's the worst part about meetings is like, if you're not at that meeting and you miss it, you're just not in the loop. And so that like conversation doesn't have your input or continues without you, or like you join later and you don't have the context. So I could see something like this being useful for like keeping track of meeting notes for sure. I'm sure that's already been thought of.
Yeah. So there's, I'm in a collaborative Rome database as well as my personal one. So this is a Rome database where I'm collaborating with like 10 to 12 other people. And what I'm going to is an example of a meeting page. So I have like attributes of like what type of meeting it is, what like meeting number it is, when did it
Yeah.
happen, and who was in the meeting. So this is between me and Jonathan. This will like link to all of our pages, and so like you can go to my page and like hear like different things about me.
This is also like, it does away with it, as long as everyone does it, right? It does away with the he said, she said stuff, because everything's sort of like public, and it's like you're also like have like a, here's what I actually did this year, you know?
Yeah. There's like a good level of accountability there.
Yeah.
And then we put like all of our meeting notes here. And so if you go to like Creative Capital Fellowship, you have right here what all the meetings are for like that type of meeting. There's one extension that I want to write where I want to be able to sync a page with my personal with this page on the collaborative, so I don't have to like repeat myself and have to copy and paste over.
Yeah, you somehow want it to like pull but not push, or vice versa. I don't know how to say that, right?
I basically write once, read twice, and ideally write from my personal, because I like drive my whole life through my personal, and then want like
it's crazy the stuff like you live off this.
Like this is like my backbone, and everything. I want all of my public systems to like derive its data from my internal private database. And sort of my goal is like how can I, what are all the different ways that I can slice and dice my private Chrome database into public work that other people can see. So that's where like all the projects, how can I turn these projects into GitHub repos and tools that people can use? How can I take my blog posts and make, publish those and like have those iterated on people? Cool. So let's go back to my meeting notes, see what I haven't covered yet. Yeah. So the biggest thing, go off of Daily Note for everything. Sidebar. Are you familiar with the sidebar and how amazing of a feature it is?
No, but I'm told it's a godsend, so I'd like to know more.
It's literally a godsend. Okay, so I'm on this page. I want to follow up tomorrow. I want to see what else is going on tomorrow. But it's really annoying that I got taken to this page because I want to like see what's going on tomorrow and then like actually move this bullet, compare it and like move this bullet back to like over here or into the 25th. And it would be really great if I could just keep it pegged on the side while I like looked at this page. Yeah, so the sidebar is if you hold on Shift and you click, it opens that page to the side view, and you can open a bunch, so you can even like drag and drop things in between pages here.
Alone is totally like saved my life. This is exactly what I was like frustrated with earlier today.
Yeah. And so between these 2 days, right, like I can open up August 25th. Oh, you can also shift click Daily Notes button itself, and it'll open up in the sidebar.
Neat.
And so, yeah, it's like, okay, I saw, I put this note on August 25th, but I actually want to move this, Greg bailed on me today because he didn't care about my time. So you know what, I'm going to move it to tomorrow. And then I can just drag it like that.
That rules.
Yeah. And so you can just keep like shift clicking. You can even shift click within the sidebar. And so this was a podcast I listened to today, and these were like the notes I took on the podcast. And okay, Gratz Sanderson, I feel like he's familiar. So let me open up him. Oh, he looks like he has 3 references. Where did I hear him before? Oh, okay, he was from here. Oh, he's also in this course I took from Learning How to Learn. And he was also in the
I know that Learning How to Learn course. That's awesome that you took that. I love that.
Yeah, it was really good. I was a big fan.
So fun fact, I'm trying to tie, if you've ever also read The Art of Learning with Josh Waitzkin, I think that's.
I haven't yet.
Check that book out. It's like a really quick read, and it'll seem familiar to you with all the chunking and kind of how to learn. But he recommends triggers, right? So triggers are like, he to this day, like every single time he was the basis of the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. He was like a 3-time chess champion, and then he took all that and he used the same way to learn to become like a world champion Tai Chi guy. So he's all these like, how the hell are you learning these like world championship level skills in like a year? And so one of the things he talks about is like chunking, and another thing he talks about is triggers. And so he would put on "Lose Yourself" by Eminem before like every big match, and he's like, to this
big
day,
Eminem fan.
Yeah, so he's like, to this day, if he hears the song, it's like his blood pressure will elevate, his heart rate will go, like he's in championship mode. And so one of my big things I want to get across with Flow State Coffee is I want that to be the trigger for creative work and the trigger for like getting stuff done. And so like we'll be talking a lot about habits building and triggers and things like that. And so
that's really awesome.
Anyway, whenever I see like learning how to learn or something like that, I always feel like oh, you get it, you're gonna get it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And it's a lot of times like people just like respond to that like external motivator. Like
there's just we're ritualistic people, and humans are just like they need that thing. And like whether it's like you have your office set up like David was saying, and you have like like I know when I put my headphones on, it's like time to work, or I play the Spotify thing, it's time to do something. It's like, and I very much want to be like the beverage of choice for that, right? It's like I want it to be like I have my regular coffee, that's my coffee, but when I drink my Flow State coffee, like it's time to create something,
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a lot of branding you can do with that too. So like
I'm trying. I've never done that kind of stuff before, so I'm hoping I'm like, does this sound shilly or does this sound kind of cool? Because this is like how I use it. I basically drink it when I'm about to go do something, and then I have like, if I'm gonna go to a party, I'll probably have like a Red Bull. So I'm not like this Flow State coffee is the only thing you use, Yeah.
I mean, the more you market it as like a reflection of what you actually use, the less chilly it'll turn out, I think.
And what's cool about it is I don't have to make it about the coffee. I can make it about the creator. So I want like the Instagram to be very Humans of New York style, where it's like, this is David, this is what he's doing with open source, and this is what he's kind of like building, and you can go check him out. And it's like
that's awesome.
Coffee Instagram, but it's like that way it's about the creators, it's not about the coffee.
Yeah, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah, well, we're doing that. So I mean, that I just got to like put into have to execute it.
Man, I look forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm excited. Like, not everything has to be a community. I'm not sure if like coffee has to be a community, but there's no reason why we can't like put some people over and help people. Like,
For sure. Going back down the list, we have. Okay, so that's the sidebar. Sidebar is like I use it like almost all the time to compare different pages. It's like one of the most useful features in the app.
If I get nothing else from this, that sidebar thing saved my life, because today I was so frustrated, like clicking through things and then going back.
Yeah. References. I use references a ton, mostly because I don't think you shouldn't ever find yourself copying and pasting things. Roam is no different. And so if you want to like bring an idea and put it in the context of something else, I almost always use this copy block ref and then paste it elsewhere. Where I use this the most, so at the top of all of my daily notes, I have this like weekly tag. And so every week I like write out what my goals are. And a lot of time for my weeks, they refer to my monthly goals. And so a lot of times, it's like, okay, finish phase 2 of my website. I don't want to like copy and paste this over here and then have to check off both. I can just copy block ref, put it here. And then when I feel like I finished the phase 2 of my website, I can just check it off here once and it checks off in both places.
Oh, okay, cool. So it finds it everywhere.
Yeah. And then that way, like my monthly goals is up to date.
That's awesome. So yeah, so like when you make a goal now, it's going to like connect it everywhere it finds it.
Right. And so like all my August goals are like refer to 2020 goals and then refer to life goals, et cetera, et cetera. And so
you're making good pace, man.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. This one is these two are kind of funny. Brainstorm, Mark 43 alternatives, and then realized I left.
Well, that's done.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, well, it's done.
You can't say it's not done, but that's neat. I mean, I like the idea of it too. It's very like, again, it's like a physiological thing you can do to sort of like keep those green things coming, right? This is like super basic for psychology, but it's awesome.
There's so the psychological boost is a big one to like just like see a bunch of green check marks.
Right.
Really.
I felt good, and they're not even mine. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do this, David.
Another big place where I use references is for my newsletter. And so like the format of my newsletter is that I like reference 6 podcasts within the newsletter. And so I have a reference to like when I listen to it, and that way it's easy to like bring it up here and like shift click and compare it over here as I like write my snapshot and takeaway about like what the podcast is about.
That's awesome.
In my newsletter. So yeah, like, and then I also showed you like my daily notes. I always when I'm making my plan for the next day, a lot of these are references to like when I first brainstormed the task, because I want to have that context of like, why did I think this task was worth doing? Like, why did it matter? Where was I? When was I? Who like brought it up? Who inspired it? All that stuff. And
I love that the way that you speak about it as though there are different Davids, because there definitely are different Gregs depending on the day, month, year that you catch him, right? Like, so
yeah,
it's that context is actually really like subtle, but also super important when you're thinking about things. Like, did this really matter, or did I have like a super emotional day at my job, so I had to start like a drop shipping business? And it's like, do I really want to start a drop shipping business? Probably not. I just probably really had a shitty meeting with my boss that day.
This is why I think that do it later is like or it's been one of my favorite activities, because it allows me, like, it gives me a time filter to wait it out for like 3 or 4 days. It gives me the peace of mind of today that it's going to get done, or it's going to be addressed, while putting it through a time test of like, is it still relevant after 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, I think you talked about this on Twitter, right? It satisfies the monkey mind of like, this is now done. You don't have to worry about it or exhaust yourself thinking about it. And it also gives you that time to plan. So you're not making an emotional decision, which to me is also super important. I think I've done a lot of work on this, but I like, one of my big weaknesses in the past few years has been like, I do make crazy emotional decisions sometimes. And so I read this somewhere where it was just like, you don't have to just answer that email right now, and you don't have to send that text message right now. And you just sort of like, so now almost every email I get, I almost always will wait a whole day. Like, it could be later that day, but it's definitely going to be like, I'm not responding to any email as soon as I get it, no matter what it is, unless it's like on fire. And it's weird how that like shifts your decisions. Like, I almost gave away a large part of New Wave to someone.
Oh, wow.
Because it seemed like they were like the perfect person, and they were great. But I was just like, I forced that function of time. And then a day later, I just sat and I thought about it, like, what did I like about this person? It was this. And it was like, oh, these are just all things I like about myself. And it's like, so why would I give someone if it was someone like you, or someone like the partner who I am working with, is the yin to my yang. He's software engineer. He's super quiet type. He's all about numbers. He's all about rationality versus emotion. It's like, he balances me out really well, and he's a good friend. So yeah, it's just the little things like that, giving yourself that time. I like the idea of like pushing things, but never forgetting about them.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, our minds are just like super prone to error, right? And so by not keeping it in my mind and relying on Rome, it gives me the safety that I know that it won't be forgotten, because Rome is, for all intents and purposes, my second brain right now, and it's just keeping track of all that for me.
Did you take the second brain course, or are you?
I haven't and won't, mostly because I feel pretty good about like the state of my second brain. And
I was gonna say, you should be teaching it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm Tiago level, but I feel pretty good about the state of it. I'm in a state right now where I'm not making a lot of money and need to save where I can.
Look, man, I think we're on the exact same page, because I felt really, really competent. I didn't even know about it, so I didn't have hence why I'm talking to you, second brain. But like, learning about that principle through David seemed like I get the gist of it. Now I just need to actually execute it. And I don't want to do be a class person, fatigue, where it's like course, and I do nothing. I think it's important to take the course, reflect on it, put it into some practice. And I've been thinking a lot about high agency and like action. And so I'm like, I don't need another course. I need to just do. I just need to ship this and like see what comes back. And then when it all blows up, take a course.
Yeah. The way that I went about Nat Eliason's course actually is I did like a fifth of the class, and then practiced it for like a month. And then I did like the next fifth of the class, and then practice that for practice what I know now for like a month. And so I didn't do Nat's course on Rome in all one setting. I broke it up over a series of multiple months, and like it sort of had that like reinforcement learning property.
Yeah, you got to like actually do the things. Like, this is all really helpful, but unless I start doing like the hashtags and doing like the references and doing these sidebar things, then like, I just have to kind of start doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing I think with Rome too. Like, Rome's kind of like, not that it's useless, but Rome it's compounding. And so you really got to do it for like at least like 3 months.
It so is, dude. Like, yeah, it after like it took like a month or two for me to like start feeling the value from it. But now it's like, I can't imagine how I'm going to run my life without it.
I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah. So the last section I was going to go through is like any remaining points in my article, but we sort of touched on all 5 of the above. So I guess I'll just end off here with like, if you have any other questions about things I went through,
What was the
tips I do.
SOC?
Stream of consciousness. Stream
Got
of
it.
consciousness. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so then with that said, like you basically just recommend like so a good starting point. Like I don't have what you have, but so what I want to be doing every single day is I think making every single noun a tag is a good place to start, and then having like because I don't know that I want to use Rome as a to do, but I see why you should, and maybe that's like future Greg would appreciate me doing this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to use it as a to-do, but I would recommend using it as at least like a log of the things that are happening in your day.
So like is it do you type like I feel like I'm trying to listen to you and look at you, but then I'm like I should be typing this in my Rome, like my David Vargas Rome.
Yeah. So like if I was in your position, I would have like I have this bullet for this meeting, which I'll probably turn into a page after it's done. And I would have been like, just like start writing a bunch of notes here.
Could you walk me through that? So let's say this meeting were to end right now and you were like, okay, this is what happened. I see all my notes here from open source dude, like, and on. That would be probably its own page that you want to have the meeting.
Yeah. So basically I'll do something like this. I'll be ambitious and call it 1.
Nice. Happy to be your first.
And then, so it's open here. I'll probably do like, they have a feature here called attributes. So if you do : and then you type in something, it'll like tag whatever the thing is there with sort of like its own page. The attributes itself are not really that fleshed out of a feature, and they're sort of the same thing as pages.
Right, they all almost do the same thing. That's what the hard part for me is.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes this such a steep learning curve is that they have brackets, hashtags, and attributes, and they all sort of do the same thing. But I think they think of it as growing to be something different, and that's what's kind of tough. But the way I use attributes is sort of like field labels. So I'll say like attendees, Greg Frontiero. I don't need to do like a when because I'll have it here in my August 25th page. So like when I open Rome Consulting meeting 1, it's like I already have it here in linked references. So it's like already on the page, so to speak. And
yeah, you wouldn't.
And then I'd probably just do this and drag it over. So now it's on.
And so if you just click on my name, it'll just show what?
Yeah. So if I go to your name, it'll show that I had this meeting, and then this was like the demi bullet that I made on August 26th, which I'll probably delete after this meeting.
Yeah, so that won't be there, and then you can kind of sort of click into that meeting.
Yeah.
Or you just click on the day.
Yeah, if this was in here, I can click on the meeting, blah, blah, blah. Oh, what else did I do on August 25th? Oh, I had all this. I should get rid of this blah.
And so right now, if I were to use mine, like mine would just say, David Vargas, and I'm going to take my notes on what we went through today. And if I clicked on David Vargas, it would actually just take me to August 25th. So I would need to do some sort of like separate page or separate, like how would I take that away from just my daily notes? Or do you even think like that? Do you just leave it in your daily notes?
Well, so again, a meeting is a noun, right? It's a thing that happened. So right. I have it here. It happened on, so like it's already contexted with the day and the time, right? And there's a page for it. So you have when it happened. I click on the consulting meeting and I wrote the attendees was you, Greg Frontiero. And so like now you're on the meeting here. Grouping it in this consulting tag so that later on, if I want to look at all the consulting meetings I've done and try to like draw any sort of patterns from it, it'll all be in this consulting page. And then I have a bunch of notes from our meeting. It's like, so
it's almost like, future Vargas, depending on what he needs at the time, might find this meeting for different reasons, right? Because maybe he's thinking, I want to see what's going on with all my consultations. So I want to find these themes. And then he says, oh, Greg is a lot like A, B, and C or other people.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a thing. Or you could say like, I have another meeting with Greg Frontiero in 3 months from now. It's like, well, what did I talk about with Greg the last time? But it's like
Yeah,
pulling up the
exactly.
same thing. It's more like you're just, why would I point back to Greg? What is it? So every time you kind of have a meeting or a thought, you're basically, once you get that out, you're probably trying to hit it with as many tags as you think future Vargas might care about.
Right, exactly. Yeah, just put it with all sorts of nouns. Another thing that I just thought of here, right? Like once I finish my current book and I'm thinking about, what books I want to read, and I look at my list, I see the 4-hour work week. I'm like, I didn't put like a recommended by, like, where did I hear this from? Oh, I got this from the Rome consulting meeting. Greg recommended me this book. And then I can decide.
So cool.
Then I can decide. Oh, is this book worth reading? Given that Greg was the one who like recommended it to me.
So this is how you have such like an amazing memory. It's just all artificial.
Yeah. You have an amazing memory because you don't, and you're relying on computers to do it for you.
I love it because this is what I've needed in my whole life. I have them right now. I've broken them out into 2 different things, and now I'm wondering if I should only have one graph. Because like one graph could be everything.
That was the other question that you had. So I'm a big proponent of only living a single life. Ooh. Okay, so here's a thing about notes. I remember this quote, and I don't remember exactly what it was. It was like one life, where did I hear this? Or it's like start. Damn, I'm fucking up this. I'm fucking up this demo.
Nah, don't worry about it.
You start. Damn it! You know what? I'm just gonna go straight. I'm gonna go straight to the quote. There it is. Okay, so let's say I had the right phrase. It's like, okay, I remember like every man has. Oh, this is the quote, and it's like this quote from Naval Ravikant on like this podcast with Joe Rogan, and it's like, okay, every man has 2 lives, and the second one begins when we realize we only have one.
It's a great podcast.
Yeah, great podcast. And this was like a quote that I loved from it because it's like it sort of embodies like how I think about my life and like how I think about Rome. It's like it's all like one connected thing. These separations that we make in our mind get stale over time, and the abstractions we make today won't necessarily make sense in like 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, it confirms my fear too, that like I'll have this idea that has nothing to do with new wave, but at the same time, like it totally does, right? Like just because
everything you do in your life can be connected, and like I could
talk to you, and it could be like something that could be hugely important to my personal life, right? And it was just supposed to be about learning Rome, right? Like
yeah. You don't know today like what ideas will connect later on, and okay. So it's like I have no idea like why this quote will ever be useful until I just had this call, and like now I pulled it up and like showed it to you. And so this is why I love the rule of like making every noun a page, because it makes it so much easier to jump around to different like entities that are connected and like how they're connected.
Yeah, it's stupid to put those artificial boundaries and borders up because it's just gonna make I won't be able to connect things later.
Yeah, and it's like, and quite frankly, as like someone who's a software engineer, I just have learned at this point that we're really shitty at making abstractions, and they get stale. They get stale super fast, and especially with like thought management, I've given up on this idea of like trying to hierarchically organize my thoughts, and I've embraced just this idea of letting it live in my Rome database and letting those connections sort of manifest itself.
Okay, I'm sold, man. I'm gonna get rid of the new wave one today and just put everything under Greg's brain.
Yeah, and then so like new wave is a noun, right? So like new wave could be a page, and then like all the different things you have related to new wave will branch out into other parts of your Greg. You'll meet somebody at a party and he'll have an idea, and then you're like, holy shit, wait, I can apply that idea to new wave.
Yeah, absolutely. This happens all the time. This has happened all throughout Rite of Passage. So I mean, it's been like there's been so many. I'm struggling with like how I would conceptualize this. One, because there's so many of us that are doing articles about community where it's like, I don't want to be like another community guy. And like, but at the same time, the thing that I think it did for me that I don't see people talking about enough is like, I've been thinking about doing this coffee thing for 3 years now. And then within like
Wow.
5 weeks of talking about it in this class, it's like, it's done. It's
That's
happening.
incredible.
So it's like how it became, I literally changed me more to be a more high agency person, because it's like this weird like conversational energy that I've seen somewhere mentioned, and like the flywheel effect that we're getting
Yeah.
from each other. Everyone I can see like 10xing. And it goes to this like original quote in theory that I had that I fucking made up, which I'm really proud of, which is, I think the outdated thought is like, you are the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And I think the modern thought of that is you're the 500 people that you allow in your feed. And I've noticed
Oh
this
my
because
God.
I started a whole separate Twitter account for Rite of Passage, because I was like, if I'm going to be like the guy that tries online and I think this is going to be a scam and I don't think it's going to work out, I can just delete the account and like it never happened, and I can just go back to my like commenting wrestling memes. And then I found that like it was weird, like having that feed as my base, and that's all I see now. Is all I see are people like on my similar trajectory and vibe, and like all high agency stuff. It has just like fundamentally changed me lately. I feel like a better version of myself, and I just did it through the community.
Yeah. It's just like seeing other people take action just like excites
It's
you to do
motivating.
the same.
Like you quitting your job and like going to do this is like, again, it gives me like the more and more people I meet like you, and like it's just like, yeah, fuck yeah, like I wrote that article when I launched New Wave, like this is the We Can Be the Bands We Want to Hear. Like you had this thought in your head, you're like, I can do this thing, I see other people doing it and I want to do it this way and I know it's possible. And then like you have hopefully meetings like this that are just like confirming it and making it better and better.
Cool. So do you have any final questions, tips, anything else I could impart? Yeah, I think a lot of this is like you said, like you should like go ahead and practice a lot of these ideas and take the parts of what I do that resonate most with you. You should like, I'd be very surprised if your flows look exactly like mine. Like there should be like a very Greg feel to like how you use your own database.
way more disorganized probably, but like
this organization is a feature. It's a feature in Rome.
Yeah, you're right. It really is. So there you go. This is maybe the thing I've been waiting for my whole life, but I think the execution matters. So I think I got to put some content to this thing, and then maybe I could touch base in a month or 3 and say like, now I could.
I've really enjoyed doing this. Is like talking to somebody else sort of like reaffirms like the parts of my workflow that I like doing, and then whatever I hid from this meeting, I was like, oh, I actually don't like the fact that I do that, so maybe I should stop doing like that practice, right? It's like by teaching,
learning through teaching,
learning through teaching is like such a real thing. Cool.
Well, dude, man, like this like saved my ass, because like I've already like I was gonna throw Rome away again until you showed me that sidebar thing. So like it was good to see that. Let me mess with it and play with it. It's so like I was like, why does this not have fucking split screen? And it does, because I'm dumb.
It does.
Thanks everyone for watching. To catch up on more of what I'm building, please check out my website at davidvargas.me. If you find that you're getting value out of what I'm creating, I would really appreciate you sending me back some value by becoming a sponsor. Head to the support link in the description below to find out more on how you can do so, and for me to continue doing the work that I do.